Oh my god, check out the headline for today. This comes from Paste Magazine. It says Cyberpunk 2077's multiple failures sum up everything wrong with the video game industry. It's the game of the year in the same way Hitler was Time's Man of the Year. And yeah, this has caused a lot of controversy for sure. Forbes picked up on it saying, surprisingly, Cyberpunk 2077 devs don't like being compared to Hitler. Yeah, no kidding. As you can see here, this is one of the developers of the game. They are pissed about this article. So we're going to go into this article and talk about the response and, also dive into the article a little bit more and take, a look at both sides here. But hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good, and let's dive in. Also, I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everyone. Yes, 2021 is fast approaching, which means we're going to be getting more Cyberpunk 2077 updates, the free DLC, and then word about what's going to be happening post-launch with expansions and that sort of thing. So exciting stuff coming up. But yeah, also in this video, I'm going over your top comments. So leave a comment about this whole fiasco, this article that we're going to go over. And later in the video, I'm going to talk about how you can obtain really cool legendary weapons, including some awesome shotguns and this free legendary fixer outfit. So a lot of cool stuff in here. But yeah, let's talk about this one right here from Paste Magazine comparing Cyberpunk 2077 to Hitler. Now, here's the main paragraph from the article. It says this: the truth is that Cyberpunk 2077 has seen the most disastrous launch for a game of its size since, well, perhaps the history of the game's business. That Metascore, it's now an 86 for the PC version, with the console editions hovering in the 50s, an unthinkably low score for a game of this stature. And you know what? I agree that it sucks that the console versions have been treated the way they have when it comes to PS4 and Xbox. Now, it goes on to say this: the game is a complete debacle from almost every angle and impressively sums up everything that needs to be changed about video games, from how they're made to how they're marketed to who they're made for. Cyberpunk 2077 is truly the game of the year because it represents all the problems holding this industry back, and because the size and scope of its failures are so massive. Cyberpunk 2077 is the game of the year in the same way Hitler was Time's Man of the Year in 1938. Not as an award or accolade, but as a warning and admonishment, to the rest of the world. And no, we are in no way comparing a bad game to history's greatest monster, but if you're looking for an example of when an award isn't really an award, Time kind of set the standard back in 38. I think personally, this is the most ridiculous comparison I have ever seen. Now, we're going to get into the developer's response because, of course, it's near the holidays when people need to take a little bit of a breather, relax with the family, and, these developers have been working their butts off, not only releasing this game, but, they are addressing the issues and they are getting those patches out, and they've got some really good patches that they've released recently. And to be hit with this article right like 2 days before Christmas, I think it's the lowest of the low. That's just my opinion. But here we go. Philip Weber says, I'll say as delicate as I can, but seriously, F off. I gotta say, well said there. Now, here's a response from Derek Jenkins to Philip. He says, for a bit of context, as someone who has a solid command of the English language, I recognize that a valid analogy, recognizing infamy, was drawn out by the author. As a consumer affairs professional of 20 plus years, I hope CD Projekt RED has learned a lesson about arrogance and greed. Philip replied by saying this: oh, I do understand the analogy is with the cover, not the man. However, using a solid command of empathy, you could also see how headlines like this one can affect developers who had nothing to do with the release decisions, but who receive all of this hate. There you have it. It shows how the developers were out of control when it came to the release of the game, the actual release date. That control was given to, of course, the board of CD Projekt RED. And, the board, who do they listen to? More than anyone, they're going to listen to their investors. And it seems like their investors were absolutely begging for the game to be released. Now, also, another developer from another development studio, BioWare, who have seen their fair share of controversies, also replied to this. Michael Gamble says this: imagine being one of the developers who worked really hard on a game and are still working hard on hotfixes into the holiday and seeing this headline, shame on you. Let me know what you guys think of this one. And then we have another developer from CD Projekt RED who goes on to say this: making a comparison like this is beyond disrespectful and shows absolute lack of empathy. Think what you want about the game, but this is just too much. That last line there, this is just too much. That's how I feel about it. They took it way too far. Then, of course, we have Forbes who picked up on this. Let's dive into what they had to say about this whole matter. They go on to say this: then the final line of the article, it's the game of the year, perhaps the century, because it sums up not just everything wrong with this entire business, but proves that despite it all, these deplorable methods can still sell millions and millions of games. Would have still worked, it just wouldn't have invoked Hitler and caused such a firestorm. People might actually talk about the article and its content rather than just the badly distracting comparison. Pro tip: when writing about literally any topic other than genocide, war, fascism, dictatorship, do not reference Hitler or make comparisons to Hitler or the Nazis. This will save you a great deal of grief and precious time. But hey, I must admit, as far as clickbait goes, this seems to have done the trick. Yeah, it definitely did trigger a lot of people, but for, the reasons that are important, because, yeah, we don't need these developers being compared to such a horrible, deplorable person, of course. Now, there is the other side to the coin here. Check out this comment from Lava Lamp, who says this: guys, the tweet is not comparing Cyberpunk's release to Hitler. It's saying that it's being nominated as Game of the Year doesn't hold any positive connotation because the industry is effed up, just as Hitler being named Man of the Year isn't meant to be positive. Honestly, with the Game of the Year thing, I haven't heard of any nominations unless I missed something, but I know that with the VGAs, it's not going to even qualify for the Game of the Year since it released so late. It released after the deadline. So I don't even know why this is an issue. However, we will go into the article a little bit more because there are some actually good points with what is said in the article, in fairness. There's a whole thread here about how, there's some things wrong with this game. It says, here's how Cyberpunk 2077 single-handedly represents everything wrong with the game today. CD Projekt RED staff endured an extensive period of extreme crunch to ship the game, sacrificing work-life balance. Now, we don't know if that's 100% true. We don't have the full story. Like I'm going to say, only the people that know that they've been overworked are the people at CD Projekt RED. So that's super important to note. Also, it goes on to say this: riddled with glitches and bugs on higher-end PCs and next-gen consoles. It's downright unplayable on older consoles, especially the base model PlayStation 4 and Xbox One released at the start of the last generation in 2013. Yeah, that was totally inexcusable. And then there was no indication before the release date that the game would be significantly impaired on those older systems, with CD Projekt Red CEO talking as recently as late November about how surprisingly impressive those versions of the game were. Yikes. Alright, that is a massive problem. Furthermore, it says all marketing material came from high-performance machines, which is normal in the business. But yeah, we've seen trailer footage with those high-powered machines running, showing PS4 in the title as well. Then it says, with its lengthy hype cycle and years of careful management and pressed toting its groundbreaking and innovative nature, Cyberpunk 2077 sold 8 million copies before release, meaning it was already a smash hit before it was ever released. That's going to be up to the fans. It's going to be up to people wanting to pre-order or not. And it's going to be up to people, saying, can they learn a lesson from hype, I suppose. However, mind you, on the flip side of that, this game was marketed in a deceptive way when it came to hiding the fact that there were glitches. In my opinion, there were definite problems. But, again, I feel like CD Projekt Red is really squashing the bugs, and my experience so far has been pretty positive. I've had issues where, you know, dialogue isn't being spoken on key parts, which is extremely frustrating. Like, I lost the plot completely on one part because there was no voice lines. I was like, okay, so that's absolutely unacceptable for sure. But let's keep going here. It says all marketing material came from high performance machines. We already went over that one. That says with its lengthy hype cycle and years of careful management. Yeah. So a lot of problems. It was clear years ago that it would have a lowbrow sense of humor that routinely punched down with rampant misogyny and transphobia. All right. So yeah, you can see the article keeps going and going. It has some points here about you know, how a journalist suffered a seizure due to epilepsy. I believe it was, and I think they're addressing a lot. They're addressing a lot of this stuff through patches. Then it says that unbridled gamer hatred was then turned on CD Projekt RED itself after the extent of the game's broken nature became evident after release. And, you know, seeing these developers going through this at CD Projekt RED really sucks as well. And then it says, after a few days after release, as the scope of the disaster was becoming clear, CD Projekt RED announced that players unhappy with the game could request refunds, but apparently did not confirm that its retail partners would honor those refund requests before making that announcement. Total failure, in my opinion, on CD Projekt RED's part. Like, there are good points in this article if you dig into it, and I've covered it before, but this has to be a big learning lesson for CD Projekt RED going forward. They cannot be making these mistakes. These are mistakes are like, you know, this is a company that is a stellar company from, you know, The Witcher 3, and we look at them in a different way compared to most developers, and we expect them to behave differently like a AAA studio. They have not behaved in that manner. However, with the patches, they're getting there. You know, to see this whole fiasco unfold, even with the save files. But again, they fixed that. They have addressed the save file issue. All right, so let's talk about those legendary weapons and outfits. Check this out. So, Cyberpunk 2077, best unique shotguns and where to find them. There's a large host of weapons for players to discover throughout Cyberpunk 2077. This guide shows how to find the best of unique shotguns. And also, how to get the free legendary fixer outfit. If you guys want to find out more about this, some really, really cool finds right here, please see the links in the description below for more info. You guys can grab some really cool, nifty, neato, legendary outfits and weapons. Because you guys were asking about my shotgun in the previous video, like, dude, what shotgun are you using? So yeah, I thought that would be a cool thing to highlight. But now it's time to go over your top comments. Let us begin. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in the video. Let's do this. EP says this. Remember when they showed wall running with the mantis blades in one of the trailers? I want that. Yeah, that would be really cool, but you never know. They could actually do something like that later on in DLC. There's like an entire ability that's missing in the abilities menu. What could that be? I think it would be really neat if they had some sort of like fast attack guerrilla warfare style character, which is kind of what I'm going with right now anyway with my katana blade setup. All right, Nirvana says, finally, been 13 days since launch. They're working their butts off. Yeah, they are. They are really pushing out those patches, and I'm honestly kind of excited to see what they do in January and February, you know. And then 6 months down the road, where will this game be? What about a year with the mods? So we shall see. Dan says, anyone else want to be able to form deeper relationships with the characters, like being able to do stuff with them and being able to talk more rather than saying the same lines? 778 upvotes on that comment. A lot of you guys want more deeper, meaningful relationships with these characters, and apparently more free-forming dialogue options as well. Now, let's see this. Enosoplavision? I don't know. He says, I honestly just want the AI to be more relevant and smarter in general. I think a lot of us want that, especially with the police, please. The police are, you know, their wanted system in this game is severely, severely lacking. Josh Leach goes on to say, I'd like to be able to see a pic of the car you are buying in the jobs menu instead of the map. Totally agree. The UI overall needs a big rehaul. Again, I'm expecting some modder to do this even before CD Projekt RED. That's usually how it goes with these big open world games, at least for, you know, Fallout. So yeah, I'll keep you guys in the know if someone actually updates the UI and the inventory and how things work with that. But yeah, hopefully they update that officially from CD Projekt RED. But there it is. There's the latest happening around Cyberpunk 2077. Stay tuned for Cyberpunk 2077 news updates and open world gaming goodness. And I will see you next time. Take care and happy holidays, everyone.